Welcome back, WWE Universe, to a moment that has left us all stunned and heartbroken. Tonight, we unravel a story that's more than a headline, it's a raw, gut-wrenching glimpse into the soul of wrestling, where Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, was rushed to a California hospital after his former brother-in-arms, Seth Rollins, collapsed backstage. This is a tale of loyalty shattered, hearts broken, and a fight for life that will grip you to your core. Stay with us, because this is real, and it's devastating. It was July 28, 2025, at Monday Night Raw in Los Angeles, when the wrestling world tilted on its axis. Seth Rollins, the visionary, had just ignited the crowd with a fiery promo, his Money in the Bank briefcase gleaming as he taunted the roster. But as he stepped backstage, his bravado faltered. He clutched his chest, his face ashen, and collapsed to the floor. The chaos was immediate. Medics swarmed, crew members shouted, and the air grew thick with dread. Roman Reigns, the original tribal chief, was in the arena, preparing for his own segment after his thunderous return 2 weeks earlier. He'd been at odds with Rollins, their history a tangled web of betrayal from their Shield days. But when word of Seth's collapse reached him, Roman froze. A stagehand grabbed his arm, urgency in his voice. "Roman, it's Seth. He's not breathing right." The tribal chief's stoic mask cracked, his eyes betraying a storm of fear and guilt. Please like, share and subscribe for more WWE content. Alright, we're halfway through, and things are about to take a serious turn. If you thought you knew where this was going, think again, this is where the real drama unfolds. Stay tuned, because the best is yet to come. The hospital was a cold, sterile maze where Roman arrived, his heart pounding. Seth was in the ICU, hooked to machines, his condition critical, a heart arrhythmia, doctors said, worsened by years of relentless physical strain. Roman stood outside the glass, his massive frame trembling. He thought of their past, Seth's curb stomp at Royal Rumble, the betrayal that had driven a wedge between them. Now, seeing Seth so fragile, Roman's grief was a tidal wave, washing away old grudges. Becky Lynch, Seth's wife, was already there, her eyes red but fierce. She locked eyes with Roman, and for a moment, the air crackled with unspoken tension. She blamed him, he could tell, blamed the years of rivalry, the brutal matches, the emotional toll. "You pushed him too far," she whispered, her voice breaking. Roman didn't argue. He felt the weight of their history, the betrayals that had piled up like scars. The Shield was family once, but family could break in ways that cut deeper than any blade. The news spread like wildfire across X, fans flooding the platform with prayers and panic. #GetWellSeth trended, but so did darker whispers. Some pointed to WWE's grueling schedule, accusing the company of ignoring warning signs. Others dug up old scandals, like Seth's knee injuries or Roman's own health battles with leukemia. The wrestling world was no stranger to health crises, but this felt different, a stark reminder of mortality in a world built on larger-than-life heroes. Backstage, the locker room was a powder keg of emotion. Jey Uso, Roman's cousin, stood by him, but even he was shaken. "We gotta fix this, Jey said, his voice low. The bloodline had fractured over time, and now, with Seth's life hanging in the balance, old wounds reopened. Roman thought of their shared past, the Shield's glory days, and how ambition had torn them apart. The guilt gnawed at him, he'd speared Seth, stomped him, pushed him to the edge. Had he pushed too far? The scandal erupted when insiders leaked that Seth had ignored medical advice. Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer that Seth had been warned about heart palpitations weeks earlier but refused to slow down, obsessed with his SummerSlam plans. Roman, reading the reports on his phone, felt a surge of anger. Why hadn't Seth listened? Why hadn't WWE stepped in? The system, the same one that had carried Roman to greatness, now felt like a machine that chewed up its stars. Paul Heyman, Seth's self-proclaimed oracle, was uncharacteristically quiet. Roman confronted him backstage, his voice a low growl. "You knew he was hurting, didn't you?" Heyman's silence was damning. At WrestleMania 41, Heyman had betrayed Roman, aligning with Seth and Braun Breaker. Now, that betrayal stung anew. Roman wondered if Heyman's ambition, his hunger for control, had blinded him to Seth's fragility. The backstage dynamics were a mess. Loyalty was a currency few could afford. Becky's presence in the hospital was a constant. She barely left Seth's side, her hand clutching his, whispering words only they shared. Roman watched from a distance, his heart heavy. He thought of his own family, his wife, Galena, their 5 kids. The wrestling life had strained his marriage, stolen time from his children. Seeing Becky's pain, he imagined Galena in her place, and the thought was unbearable. Family breakdowns were the hidden cost of this business, and Roman felt it now more than ever. The ICU was a place of ghosts, where the specter of death loomed. Roman thought of Eddie Guerrero, taken by heart failure, and his own leukemia battle, which had forced him to confront his mortality. Seth's collapse was a mirror, reflecting the toll of their craft. Roman remembered their last match, the intensity of their clashes, and how Seth's fire had always pushed him to be better. Now, that fire flickered, and Roman prayed it wouldn't go out. Fans gathered outside the hospital, holding signs, chanting, "Visionary." Their love was a lifeline, but it couldn't erase the pain. Roman saw a young fan, no older than his daughter Joelle, clutching a Seth Rollins action figure. He knelt beside her, his voice soft. "He's fighting, kid, just like he always does." The girl's tearful nod broke him. These fans weren't just an audience, they were part of the family, bound by the stories told in the ring. The wrestling community rallied, but grief exposed cracks. CM Punk, whose rivalry with Seth had boiled over at SummerSlam, posted a cryptic X message, "Strength to you, Seth." Roman scoffed, his old wounds with Punk still raw. Others, like Cody Rhodes, were more genuine, sharing stories of Seth's resilience. Cody visited the hospital, his arm around Becky, a reminder that wrestling's brotherhood could shine through even the darkest moments. Roman's own health history haunted him. His leukemia, once in remission, had taught him how fragile life was. He'd returned to WWE stronger, but the fear lingered. Now, seeing Seth's monitors beep, he felt that fear again. He thought of their Royal Rumble brawl, where Seth's curb stomp had left him battered. Roman had retaliated, his spear a release of years of pent-up rage. Now, he wished he could take it back, trade every blow for a moment of peace. The hospital nights were long, filled with whispered prayers. Roman sat in the waiting room, his mind replaying their Shield days, 3 brothers against the world. Seth's betrayal in 2014, smashing a chair across Roman's back, had shattered that bond. Yet, Roman couldn't hate him now. He saw Seth not as the visionary, but as Colby Lopez, a man fighting for his life, a father, a husband. The line between character and human blurred, and Roman's heart ached. Backstage, the roster grappled with their own fears. Braun Breaker, part of Seth's stable, was shaken, his usual bravado gone. He confided in Roman, his voice trembling. "I looked up to him, man." Roman nodded, remembering his own mentorship of younger stars. The locker room was a family, dysfunctional but fierce, and Seth's collapse reminded them all of their shared vulnerability. The scandal grew as media dug into WWE's handling of injuries. Reports surfaced of ignored warnings, of Seth pushing through pain to keep his spot. Roman, reading the headlines, felt a surge of protectiveness. He'd been through too much to let the business destroy another soul. He thought of his cousin, Rikishi, who'd warned him about the grind. The Anoa'i family had given everything to wrestling, and now Roman questioned the cost. Becky and Roman had a quiet moment in the hospital cafeteria. She looked at him, her eyes softer now. "He always admired you, you know," she said. "Even when you fought." Roman swallowed hard, the weight of their shared history settling in. They weren't friends, but they were bound by Seth, by the ring, by the life they'd chosen. It was a moment of raw connection, 2 warriors finding solace in shared pain. Seth's condition stabilized, a flicker of hope in the darkness. Doctors spoke of recovery, of lifestyle changes. Roman visited, standing by Seth's bed as he slept. "You gotta come back, man," he whispered. Not for the ring, but for her. For Rue. He thought of his own kids, how they anchored him. Wrestling was their stage, but family was their truth. The WWE Universe watched, holding their breath. Triple H announced a wellness review, a response to the scandal. Some called it damage control, but Roman saw potential for change. He thought of his father, Sika, a wrestling legend who'd passed in 2024. Sika had taught him resilience, but also love. Roman vowed to honor that, to fight for a safer future for every wrestler. The hospital became a place of reflection. Roman thought of his legacy, not just titles, but the lives he'd touched. He and Seth had headlined WrestleManias, defined eras, but this moment was bigger. It was about forgiveness, about mending what was broken. He remembered their last talk, a tense exchange at Evolution. He wished he'd said more, listened more, seen the man behind the visionary. As Seth began to recover, Roman found clarity. The betrayals, the rivalries, they were part of the game, but they didn't define them. He thought of his kids, of Becky and Rue, of the fans who believed in them. Wrestling was a brutal dance, but it was also a bond, a shared heartbeat that connected them all. Roman vowed to carry that forward, to honor Seth's fight by fighting smarter, not harder. The wrestling world would move on, as it always did. SummerSlam loomed, new stories emerged, but Seth's collapse left a mark. Roman stood by his side, not as the tribal chief, but as Joe Anoa'i, a man who'd seen too much loss to let go of hope. Their story wasn't over, it was evolving, just like them. In the end, this isn't just a story of crisis, it's a testament to the unbreakable spirit of those who step into the ring. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, once brothers, then rivals, now share a deeper bond forged in the fire of loss and redemption. Wrestling is a world of pain and glory, but it's the love, between wrestlers, families, fans, that endures. Hold tight to those you cherish, because in this wild, heartbreaking world of WWE, it's the loyalty we show in the darkest moments that defines our legacy.